Hey there Dev Squad, Virtus here, and today we're going to be taking a look at how we can create beautiful landscapes inside of Unreal Engine 4. And to do this, we are going to be taking advantage of game-ready materials over on GameTextures.com. They have a whole variety of game-ready materials which can be used to create everything from materials, landscapes, props, and even characters. The options is endless. We have partnered up with GameTextures to offer you 10% off your subscription for lifetime. They do, however, offer a whole variety of freebies every single month for you to implement into your game projects. GameTextures.com is a library that is trusted by hundreds of developers and have even been used for big titles such as Robo Recall, Miscreated, Rebel Galaxy, and more. It's definitely worth checking out as they have some really beautiful work. By the end of this video, what you're going to have is a beautiful landscape using these materials, and you don't specifically have to use GameTextures materials either. I am going to be showing you the process of importing textures into the engine, setting up the material, sculpting your terrain, and then lastly, painting it. And by the end of this video, you will have a beautiful landscape for your video game project. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in and get creating. Okay, so now it's time to get started with creating our landscape. Now for this video, I am going to be sourcing my materials from GameTextures. You can download your textures anywhere you like. However, what we are going to be taking advantage of is GameTextures' huge library of Unreal ready textures. Now, GameTextures.com, they do offer the freebies like I said, and we are going to be using the rocks and the dirt that we have got available to us. They do change these every single month, so definitely make sure you check these out. Or if you wanted to, you can even get a complete subscription giving you access to the entire library using the code VirtusLearn19 using the link in the description. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go to the freebies tab. Inside here, we are going to download the barrens and we're also going to download the dirt as well. So now we have some rock, we have some dirt, and what we're also going to be using is some ground cover as well. It looks like ivy, but it will do for our grass. Now with the engine, we are going to be using Unreal Engine 4, and the resolution, we are going to be using 4K, so we have a nice high quality texture, something that GameTextures is great for. Once we've done these, what we're going to do is go to our desktop and then we're going to create some folders. So we're going to have one folder for dirt, one folder for rocks, and then one folder for our greenery as well. And then with this, all we're going to do is take those files that we've downloaded and we are going to move these in here. So as you can see, inside of a zip folder, we've got base color, emissive, height, AO, normal, and our opacity. Drag and drop, and if you wanted to, you can set up each and every single one of these inside of Unreal Engine to get a really nice looking material. However, for the purpose of this video, we're just going to be working with the base color and the normal map. With this done, it is now time for us to hop into Unreal Engine 4. Now, for the purpose of this video, we are going to be using a blank project, and like I said earlier on, you can apply this to any project that you like. All we're going to do is go to File, New Level, and use Default. And then with this, what we're going to do is delete this centerpiece as we're no longer going to need it. And then what we're then going to do is go to our landscape, and we're just going to create a landscape using the default settings. If you want to learn a little bit more about the landscape tool, I definitely advise you go ahead and check out my level design series, the link for which is in the description. Now with this landscape created, it is now time to create our material for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our third person BP folder, and then inside of here, we are going to create a new folder with the name textures. You can add this anywhere you like. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to open up each of these folders. I'm going to select everything and then just drag and drop it into my content browser to import it. That is all that you've got to do. And as you can see here, Unreal Engine is automatically detecting the normal maps. So that is our dirt done. Now we're going to do the same thing for the greenery, drag and drop once again, and then last but not least, we are then going to go ahead and do the same thing for our rocks also. So go back to rocks, select all of these, and then we are just going to drag and drop. So this is all of the textures imported into Unreal Engine. What we're now going to move on to doing is creating the material. So we're going to close this, we're going to find a bit of empty space, and then we're going to create a new material. And we're going to give this a name, landscape_matte. And then what we're going to do with this material, just so we know that it works, is we are going to go to the Manage tab, or go to our Place tab rather, select our landscape, and we're going to make sure that our landscape material is not currently set. You do not want to do this until you have set up the layers in your landscape. So open up this material, and then inside of here, what we're going to do is use the Landscape Layer Blend node. This is essentially going to allow us to use multiple textures in one material, so we can paint on the different types of texture. So what we're going to do is in the details section, we're going to add a couple of elements, 1, 2, and 3. So the first one, we are going to give this the name dirt. The second one, we are going to give this the name rock. And then the third one, we are going to give this the name greenery. And then with that, we're going to set our preview weight on each of these to 0.5. And as you can see, now we've done this, we now have our different pins, so we can hook up multiple textures into our base color and our normal. So with that being said, put your layer blend into the base color. And then what we're also going to do is select this and copy and paste it by pressing Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and then just hooking it up into our normal, because we also want to have those same layers for our normal map as well. Go ahead and hit apply just to make sure all the changes are made as far as the layers are concerned. And then what we're going to do from here is take our base color for our first texture, do the same thing for the second one. And all I'm doing here is simply just holding down T with each of these textures selected to create a texture sample with those in there by default. What you can also do is just right click and type in texture sample to get that, and then in the details panel you can set that manually. So with these 3 base colors here, what we're going to do is we're going to take these, and the first one is our dirt. So we're going to go ahead and hook this up just like that. Then our rocks, what we're going to do with this is we're going to take our rocks and put it into the rock layer. And then last but not least, we're going to do the same thing for our greenery. And as you can see here now, we have got a little bit of life to our material. We also need to do the same thing for our normal maps, which is what gives it that depth to bring it to life. So with our dirt with rocks, we're going to take this in here. With our ivy, we're going to bring that in here, and all we're doing is that same thing. And then lastly, with the rock, we're going to do that as well. So first things first, with our dirt texture sample selected, we're going to put that into the correct layer. And then with our rock selected, we're going to put that into our rock layer. And then lastly, we're going to put in our greenery. And as you can see here now, our material is really starting to come to life. We're going to go ahead and hit apply and save on this so we do not lose any progress. With that being done, what we're now going to do is actually show you how to sculpt your landscape and also how you can paint on these materials that we've created. So go to our landscape mode, and then in here, if we go to the paint tab, you are going to notice there is no layers for us to paint. So what we have to do is go to our place mode, select the landscape, and then with our landscape material selected, and we are just going to put this into the details panel. It's going to go completely black just like this. Go to our landscape mode, and then under paint, we are now going to have those 3 layers that we just created. Now, before we can actually paint with these, we need to create some layer info, which is essentially just telling the engine where these materials should be going onto this landscape. So go ahead and click the little create layer info button, and then you want to create a weight blended normal. Go ahead and press OK on that. You can put it in the default folder if you like. All we're doing is weight blended layer normal, hit OK, and now we are ready to paint. And if we go into our level and get nice and close, you are going to see our first layer, which is our rock, is going to be applied by default. What we can do is simply paint on the different layers by selecting them. So if I select my rock layer, hit left click, once it finishes compiling those shaders, you are going to see we have now got our rock in there. It is as simple as that. So what we're going to be doing for the purpose of this video is creating a little mountain range so you can see just how easy it is to set up a landscape. To actually sculpt a mountain range, we're going to be using the sculpt tool. And then inside of here, what we're going to do is use the sculpt tool. You can use the others if you want to learn a little bit more about those. Like I said, go ahead and check out my level design series. But for now, we are just going to bring in a little mountain. You can just be quite rough with it, play around with it, and do what you got to do. And with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to have a bit of a ridge going on, a nice flat area. The way I'm going to do this is by using the flatten tool. I'm going to turn my brush size all the way down so I can be nice and accurate. And then what I'm going to do is just put this little ridge in here, and then I'm going to smooth off this edge as well. And there we are, just going to smooth that off so it looks a little bit more natural. Now, if we go ahead and go to our paint mode, we are going to go to our dirt, and we're going to ignore that. We're going to go to our rock, and with this rock, all we're going to do is start painting this onto our mountains because that is what we're after. And as you can see here now, these are really starting to come to life. And the issue you're going to have now is you are going to find the material looks really repeated, and that is because it is 4K, so it's going to be tiled quite a bit. So what we're going to do is go to our landscape material wherever you created that, and then inside of this landscape material, we are going to use the landscape layer coordinates. And then we're going to hook this up into the UVs for each and every single one of these textures that we've got. So we're just going to place it in here just like this. And all it's going to do is allow us to adjust the crop on the U and the V. And then with this landscape coordinates, what I'm going to be doing is setting the scale, and I'm going to be adjusting this. So what we're going to do is try change this to 5 for now, which is going to make it bigger. Making sure we've got this hooked up to all of our pins for our texture samples. If we go ahead and hit apply and then give it a moment to compile these shaders, you are going to see it is definitely a lot bigger. Now, if you think that that is too big for you, you can then go and adjust it. So instead of having it to 5, you could have it to something like 3.5. But the main thing that you want to do with this node is just go backwards and forwards, just trying to get it to a realistic spot. Now what you're going to notice here is that with our dirt it is looking good. However, with our rock it is a little bit too big. So what you could do is even go in and create a second landscape coordinates node. It's entirely up to you. But for now, what I'm going to be doing is taking this little mountain range of mine, and I am going to be placing this rock material all over it. And then what I'm going to be doing is when it starts to smooth out, that is where I'm going to be painting on the dirt. And then with the dirt, if it's like super smooth in some areas, I'm even going to go and put on a little bit of grass as well. And along with the top of these mountains that we've got, that is also where I'm going to be putting dirt because you don't generally have rock all the way up to the top. So if we select our dirt, we can just go ahead and put this on the tips a little bit like that. What you might want to do is turn that tool strength down just a little bit and just put it on the tips just like that. And then areas where it's sort of smoothed off a little bit, that is where you might want to go in, turn your brush size down and just start painting this on just like that. And then around the edges of this smooth area here, we can just go round in circles and we can start painting this on just like that. With our greenery, we can then start painting this on in the really super clean areas just like that. So hopefully you guys can start to see just how you would go about using materials and textures for landscapes. This is by all means not supposed to be something which is pretty. This is more about teaching you the fundamental skills to create different layers, import materials and textures, and now with this you can go away and take the time to create some really beautiful landscapes. That is everything for this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out game textures using the link in the description, and you can also get 10% off for your subscription for life using code VirtusLearn19. Have an awesome day guys, stay awesome, keep creating. Your boy Virtus, signing out.